Yeah, here we go. Oh, this is a really good one.
Hello, I'm Bob Hartzler with Iowa State University Extension and Outreach with the Weed Science Group. And today I'm going to be talking about the importance of late season scouting for weeds. And we need to know what weeds have escaped our control measures for several reasons, but one of them is that most of the weeds we have in our crop fields are annuals, and so the weed seeds that are produced this year produce the majority of the weeds we battle the following year. And so by scouting the field, finding out what weeds are present, that allows us to design a program in the following year that will target those weeds that we struggled with this year. So that's probably the primary reason. But another value of late season scouting is it can help us evaluate this year's program and figure out the weaknesses in how we tried to manage the weeds this year and use that information to design a more effective program for next year. So one thing to think about is how you're going to scout your field. Ideally we'd love to walk down every row and cover the entire field that way, but that's just impossible with the scale of agriculture. So it's important to realize that weeds are inherently spatially distributed, so some parts of fields have more weeds than another. So just simply going to one corner of the field, seeing what you see there, that's not adequate. And so you need to cover the different parts of the field, the high areas in the field, the low areas in the field, look for skips, just some systematic way of covering the entire field so you're not biased by what happened in one area of the field. As we walk down this field, this field is really clean here. It had a good pre-emergence program followed by a post-emergence herbicide of a group 14 herbicide, a PPO inhibitor. And so as we walk through the majority of the field, it's been really clean. But here we're coming to an area, and if we look around here, we can see some water hemp present. And so, here's a really big one. We've got some small ones down here. And so again, this field was treated with a pre-emergence program. And the pre-emergence program did a really good job, but we can tell by the size of this water hemp here, it's as big as a soybean. That water hemp escaped the pre-emergence program. Why? At this point in time, it's really impossible to tell. One of the reasons that pre-emergence programs often fail is they don't get rainfall to activate them. But if we look how clean the rest of the field is, I'm pretty sure this field had adequate rain to activate it. But this area may have just had a higher population of water hemp than the rest of the field. And when you go into areas of fields that have high density, your herbicide might be providing 99% control, but if you have 1,000 seeds in a square meter, which is feasible in a lot of our fields, 99% control is not adequate enough. So I look around here, I suspect this area of the field, for whatever reason, had a higher density of water hemp to begin with than majority of the other field. Now, so we had a pre-emergence program and they came in with the post-emergence. Now another thing we should be concerned about is whether this water hemp is resistant. It has the type of pattern that you often see when resistance first shows up in a field, that your product works effectively over the majority of the field, but when it first initiates, that water hemp is found in a small localized area. And that may be what's happening in this field. Again, I think we have some issues with pre-emergence escapes. This could be PPO resistant water hemp. I'm not sure what pre-program was applied, but if they applied a PPO pre, that would explain these escapes, and then they followed up with another PPO post-emergence, we'd expect escapes. And one of the things that I've seen is when we've walked this field, the majority of this field is clean, we've got this one small area where we have escaped water hemp. And this would be a perfect situation where hand weeding actually can work. In a lot of cases, there's just too many escapes to effectively pull those weeds by hand. But in this field, and again, it's not that big of a field, but we only have these limited escapes. Take the time to eliminate these. You may be nipping the start of a resistance problem that could quickly spread over the entire field. So, when we talk about scouting fields, things we want to look at is, what weeds are present in this field. Like in many fields in Iowa, water hemp is the dominant species. But you also want to look at why those water hemp are escaping. Are there any distinct patterns? Sometimes you might be able to customize your herbicide program the following year. Go heavier in an area of the field where the infestation is more severe. But unless we scout the fields, we're really going blind in the next year in terms of designing an effective program.
Okay, so in this same kind of patch area where Bob was discussing how a lot of these very clearly survived this earlier application, you can see, if you pull back the canopy, it's much harder to see some of these, but there are stragglers even right here in the row that are coming through. And it looks like, if I had to guess, I would guess that this one probably survived the post-application. What do you think?
Yeah.
And the only reason I say it is because there's one right next to it that was totally nailed and is dying. And then we've got another smaller one here as well that's surviving. So we can see that there's a lot of variation in size, and the fact that this canopy is still open means that these are going to come through. Hopefully we do get some canopy closures so we reduce their competitiveness at least. But these are definitely things that we would want to be scouting for late in the growing season.
So this is a clear example of what we want to try to avoid in managing weeds. Is both of these weeds were sprayed when they are over a foot in height, and this one here, we've killed the top, but we're going to have lateral branches come out of it, and it will be producing lots of seed. This one we slowed down a little bit, but it's going to meet its near full potential. And so timeliness of application is really important. We know that when we spray these large weeds, not only do we fail to get complete control in many cases, but that also can allow us to be selecting out those resistant individuals, because we're just basically using too low of a rate, and we know that low rates select for resistance. So timeliness of application is critical, and this is one thing we can pick up on while we scout those fields closely. Drones can be really good at picking out large patches, but you still need to get out in the field on your own to pick up these types of things that you can't see from a distance.